This is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, and you, my friend, are listening to Light Talk.
Good morning. This is Stan in Gainesville, Florida, and today we're discussing what do master electricians do, basic lighting inventories, and who are those URTA schools?
And this is David in Long Beach, California. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers.
Going strong at 146, we are.
Yes, this is episode 146.
What about this Luminoid thing I heard about?
Okay, the Luminoid thing. Let's talk about it for a second. As we all know, we have a house band called Luminoids. And actually...
wait, did anybody vote on this? All of a sudden, I'm in a band. Like, how did this happen?
Preparation H will take care of that.
Preparation H?
I thought I was a Lumen brother. Now I'm a Luminoid brother.
Maybe it's Preparation L.
The Luminoids. The Luminoid preparation. No.
What happened was... Is that like the paranoid Luminoids?
Almost 3 years ago, when we started Light Talk, we had a theme song. It was Blinded by the Light. That old Manfred Mann song covered by Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And then we decided...
were very naughty Lumen Brothers. Well, we shouldn't have been doing that. We only thought
we were going to have 8 listeners, you know?
That's true.
And then when my ex-wife told me, who works at Warner Music, you better be careful because you don't have permission to use it.
We're going to get in big trouble.
We decided to have our own theme song. And we've told this story before. But anyway, we got together. I mean, it was really my nephew and I. We put the song together. I wrote it, and we recorded it. He played drums on it, and I played every other instrument. And then I had Stan and Steve and me and Eric basically sing Light Talk, Lumen Brothers, that sort of thing, okay? So that was the beginning of the Luminoids. Since then, we've had guest Luminoid, Zachary Bovray, play an incredible bass line. We found out in our interview with Zach that he's an amazing bass player. So there you go. So now he's part of the Luminoids. So what we're really looking for now is a guitar player.
Drummer.
No, we have a drummer. No? I said drummer, but
Oh, that's right.
But I forgot that my nephew actually plays drums. So we've got the drummer. We now need a guitar player because Zach can't play both guitar and bass at the same time.
I know who we ought to get. I know who I want to get. Clapton.
Listen, we're talking Luminoids here. We're not talking Blind Faith. Okay.
He's not that busy right now. I think we could talk to Mark, and Mark could talk to Eric. Now, wouldn't that be something?
Well, you know something?
Maybe Gilmore. Gilmore.
Yeah, okay. Who we really need is Richie Blackmore.
That'd be good, too.
But he's hiding out in some castle somewhere. Okay. Anyway. So that's the Luminoids. So I'm glad that
where does this name come from? How did the name?
Well, it's the Preparation H thing. It's, Lumen Brothers and Hemorrhoids. Together we have Luminoids.
Oh, God.
So,
my goodness.
So there we have it. So guys, this past Saturday we had this wonderful, wonderful memorial service for Neil Jampolis at his house in the Hollywood Hills. Members of his family and some colleagues put it together, thank God, because there was nothing really being organized at UCLA. Josh Epstein contacted me because he knew I was trying to do something. And then he told me that his friends were doing this. So it was wonderful. So we got the word out, and it was so well attended. It was at his beautiful house in his living room with a beautiful view. And there must have been about 60 people there. It was really heartwarming. It was a mix of 3 generations of students, assistants, colleagues, professional designers, current ones who worked with Neil, and also, of course, people who worked with Neil during the 60s and 70s and even 50s, as a matter of fact, designers, friends, and family. It was so beautiful. There were lots of great stories, and there was an amazing amount of stories about the love he had for people, the love he had for theater, the love he had for students, and the great generosity that he showed during his life. And I couldn't have asked for a better afternoon. It was really, really quite beautiful. So thank God that happened.
Well, it just goes to show you the theater doesn't love you. Your job doesn't love you. It's family and friends. At the end,
right.
They're the ones who show up and share the stories and share the memories. And I wish I could have attended.
Yeah,
Me too.
What was so wonderful was when the students were telling their stories. It was just amazing because, again, like I said, there were basically 3 generations of students. I was probably the oldest one. I consider myself a student of Neil's because he taught me so much. He hired me right out of grad school, and he really taught me how to be an assistant. And I assisted him for like 3 years and been friends with him since. And there were just so many great stories. I don't know if you guys know this, but he opened his magic flute that he co-designed with Maurice Sendak at the Washington Opera in November, right before he passed away. And his assistant was there talking about it. But he was talking about how Neil, how he had to steal a wheelchair for Neil. He stole it. He said it was no problem because the wheelchair had an American Airlines logo on it. So someone stole it from American Airlines. He figured he could steal it from the theater. And they were going to do their curtain call. And Neil said, "I will not go out in a wheelchair." And they walked out. They walked out together. And at the very end of the curtain call, they were all backstage. And probably one of the greatest honors for Neil was that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was there, and she asked for a picture. And they all have a picture of Neil and the cast, and Neil sitting right next to RBG. And
nice.
And that was the last picture of Neil. Anyway, rest in peace, Neil. We love you, and thank you for being such a generous, wonderful human being.
Amen.
All right, so Steve has our first question of the day.
Yes, it comes from Rebecca in Oregon. And she writes, "I'm about to be the master electrician on a show. What do I do?"
Quit.
Run.
Well, I mean, clearly you've been working your way up through the food chain there. You probably started out as a Followspot operator or maybe a crew member, and you probably ran the console for a couple shows, and maybe you were the assistant electrician on a show. So you've been kind of understanding how a show is put together, and now you're going to be in charge. You're going to be the master electrician. There's a couple kind of basic things depending on how your organization runs, but there's a couple basic things that you might do as a master electrician. I would suggest that maybe you chat with the designer and you hold a few review sessions on the development of the light plot. So he or she shows you the kind of the scope of the project and the work, and you have a chance to take a look at what you're up against before you just walk into the theater one day. I think as the master electrician, you're going to have to kind of be in charge of the inventory and make sure everything in your theater space is in working order and is prepared and ready to go for the show. You're going to supervise the hang and the focus and the strike of the show. These are things that you've probably already done as a crew member. You may be making crew assignments with the production manager, deciding who the board operator is going to be, maybe deciding if the person is a Followspot operator or a deck electrician. You might work with the production manager and handle some overhire. So again, I don't think this is stuff you can't do, and clearly your organization thinks you're ready for this step up. I think if you feel you're getting lost along the way, chat with the production manager or maybe chat with the technical director. Or if the relationship allows it, if you're at a university, maybe you chat with the lighting designer or your immediate supervisor or your mentor and just have a kind of a weekly meeting and say, am I meeting all the needs of the show? What about you guys? How do you handle it?
Well, you hit the point that I was waiting to see what would be left for me to say about this subject because I've covered a lot. But one that struck my mind is who is responsible for the electrical safety on a production? And I think the that term master electrician I don't think that really comes from our industry. In the IBEW, which is the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union, there are levels of expertise, and it's still kind of an apprentice craft. You start out as an apprentice, and then you become a journeyman, and then you become a master electrician in that field. And we've sort of adopted that phrase. I don't know if how many theatrical electricians who wear the title would truly consider themselves master electricians in that sense of the word. Those guys are really pretty damn knowledgeable, maybe even beyond what we do in the theater. Not to say there aren't some amazing electricians working in theater. But I think the safety question, you want to familiarize yourself with local codes, safety issues. You might want to get the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association 101 document, and read that. So I think people might look to you, and so you might want to have have your head around some of those issues. I think you probably are going to participate in scheduling, in addition to all the things that Steve mentioned about when things get done, how long the work calls are, and so on. I would also say you take responsibility for making sure that rig is going to work. So really, I would say beef up your knowledge, and there's lots of good reading material out there on those practices.
Okay. Kate in the UK writes, I am getting started in tech. Can you explain the basic lights and what they do? It all depends on which lights your theater owns. Just basically, generally speaking, you're going to have conventional fixtures and you're going to have automated fixtures, or what a lot of people call moving lights. Conventional fixtures usually have Licos, Fresnels, PARs, PCs, which stand for plano convex type of lens they use, strip lights, cyc lights, broads, things like that.
Yeah. Special effects, there's a whole category of special effect lights that have specific purposes, UV, strobes, things that are very sort of one-note type of things. They do one thing really well.
Yeah. Stan loves the strobe light, by the way. He likes the extra bright ones. So those are the conventional lights. And conventionals are usually lights that are static, and also static in both movement and also in color. Is that right, guys?
I think of static as opposed to dynamic, where you hang it and you focus it in one place. I would think of as static, and then I think of dynamic as a light that has changing variables like color or pan, tilt, movement, focus, zoom. All those things are sort of dynamic. They can change across time.
Static and dynamic. That's
Static
really,
and dynamic.
I like it. It's fantastic. And then you have moving lights. And moving lights are usually divided into spots, washes, air effect lights. Again,
I like Mark Brickman's term, air graphics.
Air graphics, yeah, air graphic lights.
I hadn't heard that one before. It's good. Effects, air graphics. That's a Brickmanism. I love it.
It's a Brickenoid.
It's a Brickenoid.
It's a Brickenoid. And then you have broads, strip lights, things like that. And also, you also have in moving lights, you have strobes that are sometimes in movers. There's everything you can ever imagine can be a moving light nowadays.
What do you call the lights now that they use the face as sort of a pixel effect, like they call
a BI.
Like a BI, but I think they're calling it like eye candy, but it sort of has somebody's coined a term for it. I don't know, but that using the face of the lens as actually a decorative element.
Well, that's eye candy. Whenever you see the face of the lens, it's eye candy. The BI is actually a wash light.
We got a loan of some GLP impressions.
Right.
They're like the BIs.
Yeah, good lights.
We have fallen in love with them.
Yeah, they're great lights. They really are. And the GLP, they have really good color rendering. I really like them a lot. Okay. And then you have like other types of lights, like architectural fixtures. A lot of times we use architectural fixtures in the theater as well. But if you want to get
film fixtures, HMIs, what used to be HMIs.
Yeah. But it's so funny. I was over at NAMM this weekend. NAMM was in Anaheim.
What does NAMM stand for all our listeners in Caracas?
I was in NAMM. It was hell.
Were you in NAMM this week? Oh, that NAMM. Okay. Steve's getting some Agent Orange flashbacks on us right now.
Kate, are you still awake? I'm here for you, darling. Okay, so here's the deal. You're just getting started in tech.
I'm not done. Wait a second.
We went into the weeds,
I was talking about NAMM.
You can come back to NAMM.
No, it actually related to this question. I was at NAMM.
Go right ahead then.
I went at NAMM, right? And there's a section where they have lighting companies.
What is NAMM? What does it stand for?
National Association of Music Merchandisers. It's really the largest music convention in the world. It's amazing. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So I go over to this section because it's the entire, I must tell you, this is a huge conference. It's the entire Anaheim Convention Center, 4 floors of it, and an arena. So there are thousands of people go there, and it's only invitation only. You have to know somebody in the music business to get in, or you have to sell musical instruments or whatever, or you have to be a musician, and know somebody. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. There's a section
Get to the lighting.
I'm getting to the lighting. So I go over to the Elation booth, right? Because I would like to see a friend of mine at the Elation booth. And I go over there. Eric. You remember Eric? Eric Loader.
Eric Loader. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's there. And by the way, he's looking fabulous. He's looking absolutely fabulous. He's looking fantastic. He's great. He's healthy. He's playing golf. He's like really amazing. And it was so wonderful to see him again. Thank God. Let's all, keeping our thoughts for further health. But anyway, he's showing me his fixtures. And, these fixtures now are like at 40,000, 50,000 lumens. All right. And I'm talking about the RT line they have, the ones that are in the Met. They have like 100 in the Met right now. And these lights are so damn powerful. So I don't know how much longer we're going to need HMI, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
I mean, these LEDs now are getting ridiculously bright. So anyway, that's what I had to say about NAMM. I know it took me forever to get to it. So please, Steve, are you awake? I think Steve's
bail
asleep
him out.
now.
Bail him out,
Bail
Steve.
me out, baby.
So, Kate, let's just cut to the chase here. You're going to do three things. You're going to take your cell phone with you. And the reason you're going to take your cell phone with you is you're just getting started in tech. You're going to take your cell phone because you're going to ask questions. And you might even take a little pocket notebook with you. And you're going to go up to someone and you're going to say, I'm just getting started. Can you show me the correct way to hang a light? And you're going to take a little video. You're going to say, can you show me how to focus a light? What do these shutters do? You're going to ask them to show you things. You're going to be honest right up front. I don't know anything, but I'm here. I'm going to work really hard, and I want to learn. And those older stagehands are going to take you under their wing. Most of them are going to be quite flattered that you're asking for their advice and their mentorship, but you're going to learn about these lights. David's right. There are, a couple basic lights. There's an ellipsoidal and a Fresnel, and you're going to learn the difference. And there's some lights, some specialty lights, and you're going to learn about those. But mostly you're going to record what you've learned so you can go back and take a look at it, and the next day on the call, you'll be a little bit better. And the next day, you'll be a little bit better still. So that's what I would say if you're just getting started in tech. Because just knowing thousands of lights, but not knowing what they do or why they're used may not be the best thing for the first day of your tech call as you start your journey.
Who's she going to ask, Steve?
Yeah, that's what I was. Where is she going?
Where's she
going?
Working
at like the local roadhouse, or where is she?
I don't know. Have you never worked a union call? There's
Sure.
Kate. She's showing up. She's over hire. She's been going down to the local theater company and
Now we
bugging
get the
them for
picture.
weeks
Okay.
and months.
Yeah.
And
I see.
they've said, sure, come on by and let's see what you can do. So I think she's. I don't think she's probably at the Old Vic on her first day, but
Right.
I think she's someplace where it's going to be probably a friendly, warm environment. And as long as she's honest and she asks questions and she tries to learn, I think she's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think she'll
Yeah.
find that the lighting business in general, this is my experience, there's a lot of generosity. People like to share what they know. They like to teach. It's a welcoming sort of community, I think.
It's not like NAMM.
NAMM's a whole other thing.
I just want to be clear about this. I like Eric, but he's no Bobby Hale.
Well, who is?
There are some candles you just can't hold the candle to.
He's a very handsome man.
I hope he's listening.
He doesn't listen to us anymore. Eric
He gave
does.
up on us.
Eric listens to us.
Eric
he
does?
actually Eric listens to us, and he's saying, "Why do you guys talk about elation stuff?" And you haven't sent me
We
a like
love
lately.
elation. You can pay us later.
We
Okay.
do love elation. Actually, elation has some great stuff. But Kate,
All right, Stan has the next question.
Wait. Before I just want to point something out. Kate actually asked us this question, and what we basically told her is nothing. We basically said, go find a union house and ask the old geezers that are working the call, what these lights do, and videotape them, which I think is a great idea. But we could have saved 10 minutes off this question by just getting to the chase. And the problem is you should never give me questions because I get off on these really bizarre tangents. I end up talking about NAMM. So, Stan, you have the next question.
I do. And Lonnie in Rhode Island says, so you guys have mentioned URTA a number of times. Who are the URTA schools? The URTA schools, the University Resident Theater Association. We've talked about it before, so most of you know what the organization is, but the question is, what are the schools? So they give me these challenges, and they want me to read lists and see if I can tongue twist me. So I'll start off and just kind of tell you who are the select group of schools that are in this organization. So in Arizona, it's the University of Arizona and Arizona State. In California, we have a whole bunch, and I think it might be the largest group. So CalArts, UC Irvine, UC Los Angeles, California State at Fullerton, California State at Long Beach. Hello, David. And San Diego State. Hello, Ann. In Connecticut, we've got the University of Connecticut. In Florida, we got 3, UF. Hello, Stan, Florida State. And with the FSU Oslo Conservatory. The University of Georgia in Georgia. In Illinois, we've got Urbana-Champaign, Illinois State, Northwestern, and Northern Illinois. Over there in Indiana, we've got the Indiana University and Purdue. We have a friend there, too. In Iowa, the University of Iowa. In Louisiana, we got one at Louisiana State. In Maryland, the big University of Maryland. In Massachusetts, BU, Boston. In Michigan, Michigan State and Wayne State. Hello, John Wolf. In Minnesota, we've got the University of Minnesota. In Missouri, Kansas City. Everybody knows the good folks up there with Victor. New York, Brooklyn College with Kip and Justin, who are friends of ours. Nevada, Light Talk Lumen brother himself, Brackley Freyer. In Nebraska, the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. In North Carolina, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. In Ohio, we got 4 schools. University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music, Kent State, Ohio University, and the Ohio State University. In Pennsylvania, it's Penn State and Temple. In South Carolina, it is the University of South Carolina. My friends up at Tennessee with Kenton, it's the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. In Texas, it's Southern Methodist University. Hello, Steve. And the University of Texas, Austin. Hi, Michelle. And the University of Virginia in Virginia. In Washington, way up there in the Northwest, University of Washington. And internationally, we have East 15 Acting School of London. And that is, if the website is up to date, the 20 permanent members of URTA. There are visiting members, and then there are, I think there's, I know for a fact that University of Texas State is guesting in this year, looking for students. So it's a nice, well-rounded group. And I think some of these schools, were some of the original founders of the URTA organization, and they've just been around a long time. They've grown a beard. And some are more recent, entries. I have to say, I was thinking about URTA the other day and how I was thinking, because we're going up there tomorrow, and I was thinking nostalgically and sort of warmly about Scott Steele and Sarah Faulkner and the people who were there when we started, and I was thinking sort of romantically about that, and at the same time I was thinking about Tony and Sarah and Christy, and how much I've enjoyed them and the new energy they brought to it, because they really kind of have modernized the organization. We're using this app now to talk to each other and see, you can connect in a nice way, and so it's just moving into a new era. And it's kind of, there was a point where people worried about it, and I think it's reinventing itself for the modern era. So good for URTA. I'm happy to be going.
I think they need to be a lot more selective with the schools they have in their membership. But they're, sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because membership is really important, for a number of reasons. And hopefully it makes all these schools better.
Well, I'm getting an award there this year, and it's funny because I think over the years we've had conversations about, could these students be better prepared at the undergraduate level when they come to us? And so the idea was to start to reward. It was kind of strange, like to reward faculty who seem to be doing a good job of preparing undergrads, and I do both. And I just got lucky last year, and it was kind of weird, but I was actually asked to judge the lighting design thing, and I said, "What's the criteria?" And they really hadn't made one yet. If you see a really well prepared student, how much of that is the student's work, and how much of that is the mentor? So you could say the mentor got lucky and had a really ambitious student, or maybe the mentor had a lot to do with the quality of the student's preparation. It's hard to say, And last year I was asked. I think it's hard to say from looking at a student how much of it is because I'll just say in my own case, I was judging it with 2 other colleagues. And so halfway through, or at the end of the process, they came over to me and said, you have to recuse yourself from the judging. And I said, well, why is that? They said, because your student, and I happen to have a strong undergraduate student there last year. It's because your student's the best student here. And I said, well, she may be the best student. That doesn't mean I'm the best mentor. But that's what happened, and I'm grateful for the award. But I will tell you that the student that I had was phenomenal in terms of drive and desire and energy and work output. And so I have to say, I'm learning as I get older that a lot more of life is about luck than a lot. You can work hard and all that stuff, but randomness in life, we don't give it enough weight, and luck. So I was just lucky to have a good student there last year. And I think so, but I think to the point, I think encouraging the undergraduate professors to prepare their students as good as possible is a good thing that URTA is trying to do, like recognizing that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that you're selling yourself short, Stan. I take great pains in not, saying anything nice about you, but now I'm going to, because you are a great teacher and you do prepare the students correctly. But we all know that there are a lot of students at URTA that aren't really prepared to present their work. And it's not the student's fault in most cases. It's the mentor's fault. And again, I'm just going to, I guess I'm going to disagree with you, my friend, because what we're looking for in graduate programs, or what I used to look for when I was doing graduate programs, was a student who was broadly based and could critically analyze and who would think like a director.
I appreciate your candor, and the compliment is appreciated. But let me just say this. Sometimes we do, because I've come up in an odd way. I've taught at those little colleges. I've taught at big schools, small schools. I feel like I've had a large gamut of exposure. Sometimes that mentor could be in a program where they have the best of intentions, but their circumstances are such that they are chickens without heads. Sure. And they can't find 5 minutes to take the dog for a walk, right? And so, it's hard to know what the reasons are behind all of those questions. So I just tend to be really forgiving about that. But I do think that people who are not in my position, who are not teaching graduate students, don't have the resources that my university has, and prepare students really well, and giving them an award at a little soiree like they're doing on Friday to say, hey, this is the kind of work we're looking for, and hopefully that trip is. This is something that I think URTA heard what we were saying, where we say, here's this lighting student who's never done a section. We need them to understand what a section is,
right?
And they're trying. And so to say, okay, how can they encourage the kind of quality that people are looking for? And I give them credit for taking that action. You are listening to Light Talk with the Lumen Brothers, and this week Light Talk is sponsored by.
Well, today we are welcoming a new sponsor to Light Talk. Yeah, all right.
Woohoo!
Teasla Technology. Are you a slave to technology? You know what I'm talking about. You're just one step above camping out at the Apple Store next to that smelly bum on a filthy sidewalk, just to be among the first to throw away your rent money on a new iPhone. And how about your personal computer? Do you hate spending thousands of dollars on a graphics processor that will be obsolete by the time you unbox your new pride and joy? Well, I thought you'd get a kick out of that one, Stan.
I am.
Well, kicking yourself when the technology you just bought has been placed on deep discount will do nobody any good. Instead, use that energy to buy high-tech insurance by Teasla. Yes, our new high-tech policies will protect you from throwing your money away at the latest shiny object that comes your way. Like that new laser light by Clay Pankey. Seems cool, looks cool. Mortgage your child to buy it. Very soon you'll discover that they cut the price in half and are now selling a Chinese copy of it as a Christmas laser house projector. Had you bought Teasla's high-tech insurance, not only would you have been protected from that enormous price drop, we would have sent you a dozen of those cheap knockoffs to have the best lit house on the block. How do we do it? Well, we like to call it wealth redistribution. All you need is significant collateral, and we will find a way to slowly and somewhat painlessly drain the money from your accounts. No more sticker shock when your significant other opens the credit card bill. they will never notice that monthly $48.27 charge for Teasla Technology research. Very soon, new state-of-the-art items will appear at your doorstep, ensuring that you are always at the cusp of technology. You may think that nuclear-powered juicer is overkill, but who else do you know has one? So don't feel inadequate again when your friend shows off their new Drone Focus Deluxe, because you already have the Chinese version. And with the bombs away option, Teasla's high-tech insurance. We sell cars, too.
And now, back to Light Talk.
Well, the sound of those ducks tells us that it's once again time for Let's Talk About. And today, as a great sort of segue from our last question, we're talking about how to pick the right undergraduate school. Now, we got a note from one of our listeners basically saying, enough about the graduate schools, about the graduate students. Who cares? How about undergraduates? Well, that was probably the most important note we've gotten in a long time. Besides, when are you guys going to shut the show down? Okay, we've had enough. We've heard enough.
We haven't heard that yet. People keep saying keep up the good work, so I don't know.
I know.
We're not getting out of it so easy.
Well, that's really sad. But that's a whole other story. So, we were just talking about URTA, which helps undergraduate students find graduate schools, and we were talking about training. So I know that we all have different opinions about that. So I'm going to let Steve start off, because Steve teaches undergrads too.
I thought he doesn't.
Oh, he doesn't, right.
I don't. But I have an opinion about this, though.
What's your opinion,
Well, give us
Steve?
your opinion. I can just imagine where this is going.
I think high school doesn't do you any favors. I think I'm just going to go out there and just offend counselors across the country. I don't think they do you a lot of favors. I think about your junior year, you and your parents need to start sitting down and talk about goals and start doing. I mean, it's easy today. We have the internet. We can do a lot of searches.
That's true.
If you want to study something very specific, look at what the top schools are in that field. Don't settle for state college just because it's an hour away from your house. I get it. I understand money's an issue. I understand being away from home for the first time is an issue. But on the undergraduate level, start looking at schools that have something to offer you. It's a short 4 years. And in those 4 years, you can pack a lot in. So I would say we have to be a lot more careful about the schools we go to these days rather than just settling for state college down the street. You have to be a little bit more adventurous. Maybe if you're lucky, state college is the best school. It is one of the top 5 or 6 schools in the area you want to study. Also, I think on the undergraduate level, parents across the country are going to lose their minds. You need to take advantage of the social activities that happen on campus. You need to take advantage of the football games, the basketball games. You need to take advantage of going to the theater, going to the art museum. You need to take advantage of seeing what's going on at the student union. This is a real opportunity in 4 years to grow a lot. I would also take a long, hard look. Let's say you want to go into the theater. So I would look at a college that also has a international program so that you can study theater abroad. Everybody's got international programs where you can study something. See if they have something that is directly related to you. And I would say more than just going to study Shakespeare in London. See what's happening in France. See what's happening in South America. See what's happening in Spain. Look at everything they have to offer. And also, finally, the really hard thing, you need to do the due diligence of looking at who the faculty is, seeing who these dinosaurs are, and taking a look at what they've accomplished, because they might have something really valuable to share with you. And that's important. I guess there is one final. I hear this all the time on the graduate level, and I suspect it happens on the undergraduate level. Where are you going to go to school? I'm going to go to state because it's the best school in the country. Okay, why? Well, that's just what I hear. Right. They got the best teachers. Really? who teaches there, what you're going to find is universities, all of us, are a boat on an ocean wave. And some years we're up and some years we're down and we're rising again or we're sinking again. Take a look at who that faculty is and what they have to offer. That's terribly important.
Okay, so this is just my opinion.
Who else could it be?
In most cases, I would avoid any theater school that has a graduate design program in it, because it is my experience that unless they have basically double the number of faculty and double the amount of shows, you're not going to get a sufficient opportunity to learn from master teachers, and you're not going to get sufficient opportunity to actually do enough laboratory work. Now, there are exceptions. I know Stan has both a graduate and undergraduate school, and obviously he's won an award, so he does a great job with undergrads.
Because I'm a freaking workaholic is the problem.
This is true. He needs a partner. He needs another teacher.
You know how I don't have any time to even do the show, right?
Yep.
Where do you think I'm going after this taping? Back to the theater.
Cal Arts has 2 lighting teachers. They do a graduate undergraduate student. They have 2 excellent lighting teachers. They have Ann
As it should be.
and they have Lap. Both of these people that's how you do a graduate and undergraduate program. But it's rare. There aren't many schools out there that can afford this. So, and I'm just looking at my school because we tried to do both and there was no way. Now, to our credit, we don't have a BFA. We have a BA. So there are a limited number of classes. And that's my second point. And we talked about this on the show before. I am a firm believer in the BA. I really am. And it's something that Steve said about exploring other options when you're in undergraduate school. It's called university for a reason, because it's a universe of ideas, a universe of subjects, a universe of people that really this is a great opportunity. You're not in high school anymore. So now you get to see all these different people. That's how I got in the theater. It was crazy. I was an undergrad and I walked into a theater. I was a music major, walked to a theater. There are a bunch of theater people and I met them and I got turned on by it. And that's how I ended up doing what I'm doing. So I am a firm believer in the BA. And that's all I had to say, Stan. So you go ahead.
Well, now I'm going to see what I have left. I'm going to take a little bit of contrary position with your opinion, and then I'll add the 2 things that I think are that might add to the conversation. The undergrad question: should you if you're going to undergraduate program, should you go to a school that has a graduate program in it or not? And I having advised students and parents in that exact situation where I've been both in an exclusively undergrad program, and now I'm in a program that is both grad and undergrad. Here's how I look at it. And I think it's still true today. If the plan is to go to graduate school someday or after undergraduate school, then it might serve you well, to David's point, to go to a school that is exclusively undergrad, because you will get maybe more attention and maybe more opportunity. I think there's truth in that. I think if you're going to go to grad school, being in a program that has both, you might not get as much individualized attention and as many opportunities, but your exposure might be deeper because you'll be participating on productions with graduate students and so on. So I think it depends on what your trajectory is. And the things that I would add, so about state schools and all this, a little bit of autobiography. I'm the proud holder of an associate in arts degree from a community college. And a good one of the tops in the country. And I did all of my general education courses in that AA degree. Also, I wasn't the brightest bulb in the box way back when. And so I needed to build my self-esteem about being a student. And the community college let me do that. I got a fantastic education with that AA degree. What that meant was that when I transferred to the big school, the 4-year school, in my case it was Brooklyn College, I didn't have to take a lot of general education courses. So almost all of my work and all of my time was dedicated to my theater classes. Both of those, by the way, state schools. Part of the City University of New York and part of the State University of New York system. And now back then, I got a pretty darn good education. And then you can get maybe more out of the theater program because you've done those gen eds and you're really focused, and they'll give you more work and give you more opportunity because you've already and you had that underpinning that David likes about that BA. I agree with him that you can talk about the world because you know what's going on in politics, you know what's going on in business, you have a broader sense of history, but you can get that with an associate's degree. Right, and really get through that and have a really strong foundation. If you come into a 4-year school like Florida, you're going to take that anyway in your first years. You're going to get those general education courses, but so I think the community colleges or the 2-year schools or state, as you might say, serve a purpose, and it depends upon who you are, what your exposure is, what your background is, what kind of a student you are. In my case, I had to become a good student before I could actually thrive. And the community college allowed me to build that muscle. So there's a lot of it's not a one size fits all scenario, but a lot of good stuff from all those answers.
I'm not disparaging state universities. What I'm saying is, if you are in Texas, don't settle for SMU or state. Don't settle for University of Texas or state.
I see.
Cast your net much further.
I see.
I'm not saying that a state college doesn't provide a good education.
Oh, you mean in-state, so to speak?
I'm just saying, well, sure, a few minutes from home. I'm saying look across the nation.
Sure.
Look anywhere you want to look. And, maybe you're going to find the school closest to home is best. But, all the time, I kind of hear people who say, I'm not ready to leave, I don't know. You pick the state. I'm not ready to leave Tech. I'm not ready to leave Texas yet. I want to stay close to home, and that's fine too. But I'm just saying, cast your net a bit and see what's out there rather than settling.
I agree with you on that point. I went all the way to Hawaii from New York City. I went as far as I could go and stay in the United States from my hometown, and I would agree with that perspective. That and even just. If you want to be in this business, you need a sense of adventure, and you need to be fearless to be an artist. So I agree. It might be fine to stay at home. There might be good reasons, personal reasons, to want to stay close to home. But I think Steve's right. Yeah, I'm sorry if I misunderstood. But let
me put a plug in there for Yale. I hear all the time. Well, I hear two things. I'm going to go to Yale. And then I hear the other side of that. Oh, I would never apply to Yale. I would never get in. Well, you don't know if you don't apply. You may not get in. But if you don't send them an application, you certainly aren't going to get in.
You got nothing to lose by trying it.
So Steve has our final question of the day.
It's Tracy in Nashville, and she says, my Followspot controls are all sticky.
Oh,
any suggestions? Well, put down that Mars bar while you're doing your Followspot. Clean your hands off, get the popcorn and butter off of them.
Oh my God!
Yes, you've probably got what we call an old Followspot, and it has seen many years of service setting up in the attic, and no one loves it, no one cares for it. You need to get with your master electrician. So we're going to go back there, and we're going to give Rebecca a call, who's a master electrician.
Yep, right.
And the two of you are going to take that Followspot apart, and you're going to use some lithium in the places that requires
lithium.
No. You're going to use a 2-gallon jug of Industrial Strength Lysol, because who the hell knows who's been touching that damn Followspot?
Well, you're going to graphite. You're going to lubricate the parts that. Well, some of it can take grease, some of it can take graphite, but you're going to go through that thing, and you're going to. You might even go down to Home Depot and get yourself a can of barbecue black and give Blinkie a complete color change to Blinkie the Followspot.
I highly recommend the Lysol before you do anything. As a matter of fact, I would completely
I'm getting
fumigate.
in a plane tomorrow, and there's this new Chinese virus floating around all the planes, so you better be prepared.
Right. Do not get on an airplane. Nobody get on an airplane this week.
I'm getting on one tomorrow.
Well, Stan, it's nice knowing you. Please arrange for someone to fill in for you next week before you do that. Because you ain't coming back. But yeah, Lysol, very important. Because who knows been touching that damn Followspot, man. So, and I would
think with
fumigate
that-
the entire room. I'd fumigate that room. Do not go near that follow spot until it's complete. You have a hazmat team go in there. Well, that Hammond organ solo tells us that once again, you've spent another morning listening to Light Talk. You can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, SoundCloud, just about every other podcast provider out there. Check out our website on lighttalk.org for future guests, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk fun.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
If you choose to litigate, the law firm of Fleck, Flock, Flare, and Glare and their paralegal Snoot will defend us until our retirement funds are depleted.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers, coming to you from Long Beach, Gainesville, and the Lone Star State.
And be sure to tune in next week where we discuss even more amazing lighting and life questions.
All of that, and someone's going to cook up a new sponsor.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable Lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So we'll see you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Arrivederci.
Toodles.